Oh, come on. Every time. I'm such a noob. There we go. Anyway, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. What? Man, I'm such a noob sometimes. I have to, obviously, because I have a slightly different thing when I record videos than when I live stream. But yeah. And like the end of the dark crypto tunnel, Matthew, I'm going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about one of the biggest drivers of this market right now, which is ETFs. All right, we're going to get into a little bit, not too long. You know, I just want to dive into maybe what people aren't looking at right now, maybe what's important to look at, why these are different, and I guess why they could be really good news for the rest of the market, but we have to be mindful of maybe what is also coming as well. So we're going to dive into quite a bit in terms of ETFs. We'll take a look at what they're all about. We'll take a look at the current flows on ETFs, which I think is important. Who right now is buying ETFs? And more importantly, what is the exposure like at an institutional level? Obviously, we talk a lot about Bitcoin ETFs. We talk a lot about who's buying them, price action, all of that. I want to really get into a little bit more of the detail. Like we've been breaking down these certain elements of this market over the course of this last week. We're going to be taking a look at who is getting involved in them. What does it mean on the Bitcoin price? How is Wall Street affecting? And I guess, what does history tell us? What does history tell us when it comes to some of these ETFs? What was gold like when it became an ETF? What was silver like? Etc., etc., etc. We'll sort of get into some of that as well. So YouTube has been really slow today. Both of my videos that I put out just incredibly underwhelming and not great. So do me a quick favor, smash up the like button to a brand new all-time high, because that does help out the channel. It does help out the algorithm, lets you guys, lets everyone know that we are live. Likewise here on TikTok, do me a quick favor, tap in a couple of likes. It will definitely make you feel better in my opinion. So yeah, YouTube's been super quiet. Even when you look at kind of some of the other big channels out there, then yeah, they have been slow for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. But yeah, I'd always be appreciative if you could hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. That would be super duper. Okay, so Tim, welcome in. Magic Craig's here. Foz, KC, RL, RPM. What's going on? Silver Days. I always love your little comments, man. Love that. Thank you so much. Good. Welcome in, guys. Like I said, already feels like it's going to be a super quiet live stream. But yeah, it's all gravy. Okay, let's take a look at the Bitcoin price starting off. Pretty interesting day in the markets, by the way. Just FYI though, watch this. Yeet! Nailed it. I mean, you guys can't see it, but I got both of them in the bin. So let's get into a little bit of what's going on in the price action, and then let's kind of see what is going on in the broader market. I think it's probably worthwhile, interesting enough, looking at the price of BTC on the 12-hour, because I think that's going to be more fun. Magic Craig, what's going on? Okay. So, there we go, man. I just didn't know what button to click. I've moved all my stream deck around, and it's super annoying. So TikTok, here you go. Look, you guys can see it as well, which I think is important. So as you can see there on the price of BTC, a pretty interesting day. All right. By interesting, I mean just a bit pants again, because we actually got some really nice momentum building from Friday all the way, trending through the weekend, reasonably solid. Nothing sort of super crazy and out of the blue. We had a nice rally up today to the 50-day exponential moving averages, big red line here. And then obviously we then got rejected. And yeah, I mean, this has been a pretty big onslaught of selling off. So we're going to talk a little bit about, I guess, what that is and how that all plays out over the course of this, you know, certainly in the next few days when the markets, and equally, what does it play like into 2027? So we'll sort of touch on that. What's interesting though, Bitcoin going from, you know, 90,500, which you could argue and say, well, 2-bit, maybe that was a manipulated move. We actually rallied nearly 3% there, and now we're down 0.29. Now, I do think the market's probably going to come back up. I think this is just a coordinated and aggressive sell-off. You can see there, look, in the space of, you know, the best part of an hour and a half, we went from 18,500 all the way right down to 87,000. So we lost, you know, the best part of, you know, $1,000 in literally no time at all. So we are sort of seeing a little bit of a bounce back, but we'll take a look at the charts. And then, like I said, I want to get into this whole ETF narrative, because I feel like we talk about it quite a bit on the channel. And yeah, we'll talk about XRP ETFs. We're going to get into all of it. Every single thing that is going on with ETFs, we're going to talk all about all of them, because I think they are important. Because so often we sort of talk about them as this thing of like, well, they were great news and everyone got super excited about them and, you know, yada, 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 yada. I want to get into just a little bit more of under the skin of, are they good? Are they not good? What do they think? How do we play them? Are they going to be positive for the market broader term or not? And I think that's kind of where I want to get to a little bit within this. So, but look, we'll keep an eye on the price of Bitcoin. Altcoins obviously having a little bit of a rough ride end of day trading. Jasmy up about 5%. Did actually rally 10% at one point. Jasmy having a nice little breakout and then retracing all the way back. The rest of the market is just super flip-flop right now. Nothing a lot going on. Snacks up a little bit. We see the broader markets, as in gold up 2.5, silver up 2.5. So they broke new all-time highs today, which is probably why we are seeing a little bit of a sell-off in the crypto market. Likewise, US Treasuries having a pretty solid day as well, actually, and most of them up 0.5%. And then the stock market, well, you can see what the stock market is. Once again, Oracle, by the way, pushing up nearly 3.5%. So I don't want to spend too much time just kind of going through charts and all the rest of it. We can double back down at the end of the show and maybe go back through some of these charts if you guys feel like it. So yeah, that's kind of where we'll get to. Okay, so let's start with a little bit of a discussion around these ETFs. Market sideways till Metal Wars end. Yeah, maybe. I mean, there's definitely a lot of discussion that actually the markets will sit pretty much sideways for now. But let's go back and let's talk a little bit about what these ETFs are, how they play out, what we need to be aware of, and I guess kind of summarize what's going on. Are they good news for the markets? Are they bad news for the markets? Why are people buying them? And then, like we said, who's got exposure particularly to them? So let's start originally right at the very start. Okay, let's go back to what actually is an ETF, because I still think a lot of people don't necessarily understand how these work, what happens when people sell these ETFs, how this plays into the markets, but more importantly, what it actually does in terms of liquidity. And if you didn't catch my Bitcoin video today, I recommend going and watch it. Craig, you said I did watch them. What do you think, Craig? Let me know. The Bitcoin video and the XRP video, I put a lot of work into those two. So again, I'd appreciate if you went over, dropped a comment, watched the video, all that kind of good stuff. But, you know, what actually is an ETF? And yes, we know that they essentially buy Bitcoin as the underlying asset, but how does it all work? Well, think of it this way. Essentially, an ETF is kind of like a bank, all right, or a basket, like something you would hold certain elements in. And you essentially buy that one thing. So you say, I'm going to buy, let's say, for example, you buy a lunchbox. Okay, let's try and analogize it like this. So you buy a lunchbox. You say, I want to buy that lunchbox, right? But it's not just any old lunchbox. Inside that lunchbox is Ethereum, Bitcoin, SUI, XRP, whatever, right? And essentially, the lunchbox is the ETF. What's inside is the actual asset that is being tracked. And that can be one thing. It can be 10 things. It could be 100 things. It could be the equity market. It can be the bond market, mortgage rates, whatever you want, right? You know, stocks. You could have a group of stocks, for example. And the lunchbox is essentially the ETF. So it doesn't matter how many things you've got in it. And that lunchbox will have a value attached to it that will fluctuate based on the performance of whatever's in it. So, for example, if you had a stock market, let's say you had a Mag 7 ETF. So that's such companies as Meta, Google, Apple, Amazon, you know, these kind of things. So if they perform very, very well, the ETF essentially goes up. Why do people buy ETFs? Okay, so why would the average person go and buy an ETF? Well, they're less risky than buying a single stock. You are hedging your bets. It's kind of like a horse race, isn't it? You can either go all in on a singular horse and assume that that horse may win and therefore your returns seem bigger, or you hedge your bets, spread the bets across, say, 3 or 4 horses, and then it's kind of be done. So again, they're a bit more of a hedge against risk, albeit it's investing, so it's still a little bit of a risk. They're relatively straightforward to buy because you just essentially go to a broker or a fund manager or a hedge fund or whatever it is and they buy it. And if you were looking to get exposure into particular markets like Bitcoin, and you literally have no idea how you even get involved in the Bitcoin market, how do I buy Bitcoin? What do I do if I want to buy Ethereum? How do I use the layer 2 solutions? Then these are great, right? Because you can just go, I want a altcoin tracker. Bang, buy, done, okay? Which I think is interesting and certainly probably plays out way more favorable for people that kind of get into it. Simply put, an ETF is a low-cost way of people to buy a bunch of investments at once without them being an expert and with mitigating the potential risk. So, yeah, basically. Less the AI generated you get from certain people, as in, but what? I think the same as always. You're always very informative. You can tell you've done your homework. Obviously, half goes over my head, but I'm a little more knowledgeable for watching them. Hey, that's great, Craig. Thanks, man. Less the AI generated. Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. I mean, they're definitely not AI generated. It's definitely me. So, essentially, when we talk about these ETFs, Shane, what's going on, bro? What are they doing and who's kind of issuing them? And I think that's another important bit. So, obviously, we know most of them are things like BlackRock, Fidelity, Wisdom Tree, Canary Capital, Bitwise, all of these people, right? They are the issuers of ETFs. They basically, and by the way, you can issue an ETF if you want. If you have a financial institution or you have a company, like you could essentially offer an ETF if you want. You could have Magic Craig's, top 5 altcoin ETFs, right? As long as you can get it approved by the SEC, for example, or the FDIC, and, you know, I don't know who looks after it here in the UK, but essentially anyone can kind of create them. Normally, the authorized participants, you would need something like a big bank or a trading firm, which basically are going to interact directly with the ETF to make sure that it's legit, it has assets that back it, what's going on in terms of fund management, okay, and all that sort of stuff. It's relatively straightforward. Equally, people can sell these, so you issue shares based upon that. So you could have Magic Craig's top 5 super altcoin mega ETF, and I'm going to issue 1 million shares, and 1 million shares are going to be based at this particular value, right? People can either buy it, sell it, trade it, whatever, right? That's kind of where we get to, right? What essentially are ETFs good for, or what are they being used in? So pension funds, institutions, retirement accounts, people who can't or won't use particular crypto wallets, right? So imagine let's say you're at the end of your investing career, maybe you're at the end of your working career, and you just want some exposure to a little bit more institutional investment. These are exactly kind of what they can do. They increase liquidity. They basically make it easier to trade the asset. They're more regulated. They're compliant in terms of certain rules. They have massive lower psychological barriers for big money because they're less volatile. If you think about buying Bitcoin with $1 million or buying an ETF with $1 million, the two are very much, the ETF's just way easier to kind of not be done. How is this all then linked to the crypto market? I know you guys are thinking like, 2-bit, come on, like what the hell? Like I'm here for a crypto show and you're talking about economics. So the fact of the matter is that ETFs have been great in terms of pushing price higher. If we were to look here on the weekly candles, remember January 2024 was essentially when we got ETFs coming in, which is all the way back here. You can see then that the market's really started to rally. So from here, we were trading around $38,000. ETFs come in, and then it was a all-out kaboom and uber, 120% that came in. So this is kind of why they've been good. They mitigate potential risk, particularly with risk assets, but ETFs make it super easy to dump crypto. And that's what we're seeing right now. If you haven't seen my video talking about manipulation, I am shilling myself a little bit tonight, by the way. But if you haven't seen that video, I definitely recommend going and watching it. It's highly worthwhile, and it definitely breaks down exactly what is going on in the market. But it makes it super easy. And remember, institutions do not care. If you're an actual crypto investor that buy Bitcoin on the blockchain, you have to have studied a little bit as to what it is. If you're buying into an ETF, you simply don't care. You're like, yeet, I'll buy into that and I'll sell it whenever I want, okay? I think this is a manipulation to the upside. I'm bullish right now for upside. Maybe. It's definitely an interesting sort of end to the day. So yeah, and like I said, they don't care about integration. We don't care about meme coins. Don't care about adoption. Don't care about any of that, right? They're just like, yeet, dump it. Don't care, right? Don't care. They should, in theory, create less volatility, but they don't. All right. We are actually seeing it. So where are we sitting right now with ETFs, and what and who are getting involved? Well, ETF products now sitting at 952 million leaving their account last week, marking this outflow for the 4 weeks, right? So ETFs are selling off big time. The fact is the pullback following the Clarity Act delay, rising regulatory uncertainty, and renewed whale selling concerns. So people are just dumping their ETFs. They're like, oh, screw this. I'm not going to hold on to this anymore, which I think is why there is a demand for things like Solana, XRP, Ethereum staking ETFs, and much, much more. Adding an extra bit of utility to these ETFs, I actually think will be the next run on these. I actually think they could drive loads of liquidity into the market and certainly worthwhile. So you can see there who is performing, who isn't. Look at the week flows. Bitcoin, Ethereum, multi-asset ETFs all down. Who isn't? Solana and XRP outperforming the entire ETF market quite significantly. Now, why do you ask? Solana offers staking, XRP a little bit, but you've got XRP that's way more institutionalized than you have in the rest of the crypto market. So I think that's important. Now, who is getting involved in ETFs and who is behind the scenes very much buying ETFs? And a lot of this is not known, or it may be known. I don't know. Maybe you guys will go, no, too bad. I heard this last week. Like, what are you talking about? But $3 trillion under management, Goldman Sachs disclosed buying $1.7 billion worth of Bitcoin ETFs, right? Pretty interesting. They actually went in pretty heavy and bought an absolute ton of ETFs. They were not the only hedge fund and bank to be buying it. And what I think is really interesting here is that this isn't that public knowledge. Now, you may have said, "2bit, how have you got hold of this?" Got my sources, bro. But Goldman Sachs is obviously one of the big players. JP Morgan Chase, we'll talk about them in just a minute, but disclosed holding multiple Bitcoin ETF products. Though smaller in absolute value than Goldman's, they continue increasing their ETF exposure. And they just announced something very, very interesting. Stick around for that. We're going to break that down in just a minute. Barclays Bank here in the UK is also reported a significant stake of $131 million in Bitcoin ETFs. Bank of Montreal, around 150 million. BNY. Now, BNY have been pretty interesting. They are just starting to dip their toe into the crypto market, but $30 million in Bitcoin ETFs. And there are obviously some evidence that global banks and prime brokers, essentially those that appear institutional listed ETF holders, are also poised to buy these ETFs. At the minute, though, why would you buy into them if you are seeing considerably volatile markets, right? So I think that's super, super interesting. Why is it not showing me when you're live? I do not know. Make sure your notification bell is turned to all. That's important. Then you should get notified when I go live. Notification bell, all, you're golden. All right. But yeah, I actually checked. A video went live and it didn't send it out to any subscribers of my channel, which is why I already know that today was going to be a light day for views on YouTube. So hence why, great to give us a thumbs up and appreciative of that. I'm down 70% with directly buying crypto and up 500% when buying crypto ETFs. Go figure. Yeah, well, exactly. Exactly, but that's because you're hedging with less risk and reward, and ultimately it's like probably long trading ETFs from 38,000. You'd be so far up. It's pretty insane. But where do we sit right now as Bitcoin continues its downtrend, 158 million out move from these ETFs today? And actually, we're seeing again another little bit of selling off. Once again, you see there, look, BlackRock dumping a ton of ETFs. But what does the potential upside look like? How big could ETFs really get? And yes, we're seeing selling right now, but actually mass adoption's coming. Remember, more people that buy these ETFs, they eventually will have exposure, in my opinion, to Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and everything else. But how big could they really, really get? Well, I thought it was worthwhile looking at some of these numbers and kind of getting a bit of a vibe for how they really truly sit and what their total kind of value that sits within them. And this is kind of where it gets all pretty interesting. So when you kind of break down some of the big ones, and bear in mind there are thousands of ETF products out there. This is just a list of gold ETFs, by the way. The SPDR Gold shares, which tracks precious metals, is $146 million and currently generating a 64.8% yield year to date. That's pretty insane. 15.7 million in terms of average volume and the closing price of $400. So that gives you an idea of where some of these ETFs go and what they can actually deliver. Now, as much as we have the ETF narrative for Bitcoin, and they've been the fastest growing ETFs, they've absolutely skyrocketed in terms of price, they've driven a demand in the markets that we maybe wouldn't have else got. The option and opportunity for these to go way higher clearly sits very much in what's going on. And I think this is what people are missing out. Yes, ETFs are here and there's not a great deal we can do about it. Sometimes, you know, once you let the devil in your house, there's not really much you can do to get rid of them until they've had, I don't know where I'm going with this, but you get my point. You get my point. Why is that screen doing that? Don't do that. But when you start to look at the AUM that sits currently in some of the ETFs, for example, where we sit right now around $120 billion, well, the total gold ETF number is absolutely astronomical. Like I said, there is a ton of ETFs out there, but this, in my opinion, shows how big the potential of this ETF market are for Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and many, many others, okay? And actually what the potential return in yield is, remember, 64.8% yield, currently sitting on a gold ETF, and that is continuing to go up. If you looked in terms of BTC, what does that look like? Well, it's not anywhere close. And I think, again, this is really, really important to understand. Right. ETFs are just IOUs. You're just gambling. I mean, really? I don't think so. I would say that's less like, I'd say it's less like that, more like that if you just buy Bitcoin, if I'm honest. But what you've got is expectation on the IBIT ETF was to be somewhere in around 0.5 to 1% ratio on that. So yeah, essentially the cost, not income, versus where we sit on these ETFs. So this is why I think it's important. Now, understand though, there is an absolute institutional demand for these. Again, Wall Street giant JP Morgan is exploring crypto trading for institutional clients. These will all, in my opinion, start to form ETFs, or they'll start to form offshoots of ETFs. So that might be options, that might be derivative markets, whatever you call it, right? But certainly there is a demand right now for ETFs. The question then is, how does this play out into the broader crypto market and what could it potentially look like? Well, if you were to say that broadly based, ETFs actually have driven liquidity into the market, but at the same time, they actually do suck potential liquidity out. Now, I know what you're thinking, 2-bit, that's literally the same thing. You can't put it in without taking it out, like what you're talking about. But obviously, they push value into the market. So they push the price higher. But what they do is they take Bitcoin off the market. So everyone kind of feels a little bit more optimistic. Prices are going up. Everyone's like, hey, it's all great news. The problem is, like we're seeing right now, is when they reverse that and start to dump billions of dollars back into the market. This is always going to be a little bit more of a challenge. And in my opinion, this is where I think ETFs are something to be cautious about, but at the same time, be very much aligned to what they're doing. As we see Wall Street and global companies start to position themselves for the ETF narrative, then I think this is going to be good news. Now, one of the big things to think about that I don't believe is out, but I think is coming, and again, once it could be a very good news story, is global AI ETFs. All right. So we have a couple of them. They're not super big. You've got things like Global X Artificial Intelligence and Technology ETF. Again, not really super crazy, but actually when you start to link the two, Bitcoin or the crypto market and AI, we know the two are very correlated. I think this is where you start to tech ETFs in a slightly different way and a slightly different narrative. And I do then believe we'll see capital rotations back into some of these. Right now, we talked about this before. Where is all the money going? Where is all the money that everyone's got? Every investor money is going where? I'll show you where it's going. So the S&P 500 continues to rally as long as gold and precious metals. The reason the S&P 500 continues to rally is you've got stocks like Oracle, Nvidia that are all printing double digits over the last sort of week and absolutely getting a pretty big number, which I think is good news. What do you think of the triple Qs? I mean, I don't particularly trade Forex markets, but I do watch them to see what they're doing, and the two are pretty well correlated. The only thing I would say with the triple Qs is you obviously have things like Tesla in there that at a minute is like super, super volatile. So you have to be careful, right? You do have to be careful, in my opinion. But yeah, these ETFs I think are going to be interesting. AI ETFs are, in my opinion, the next big thing. They're the next sort of thing that will adopt the crypto market and certainly push that again. We already know that there is a huge amount of capital running to data centers, AI stocks. We even talked about nuclear fusion with Trump as well, chunking a load of money into kind of building that. Why? Because they need enormous amounts of power. What's interesting, though, when you look at the two things, remember, ETFs are a big, big mover on the stock market, okay? So you can look at loads of different companies, loads of different metrics that are all in there. If you overlay, just as an example, let's do it on the weekly candle, the weekly chart. That's probably going to be a bit more favorable, actually. Let's do it on this. Let's bring in the S&P 500, and we can align the two things. They're pretty much correlated right now. Pretty much correlated. The difference now is that we have seen Bitcoin push down while the S&P 500 continues to rally up. So let's answer the question. Well, have we seen this before? And the answer is no. We've actually never seen the S&P 500 decouple away from the price of Bitcoin right the way back to early 2022. So ask yourself the question, why? Why have we not seen these decoupling happen before? Well, right now you've got the AI boom. This essentially, if you want to call it that, is the AI bubble. This is very much driving the S&P 500 up, which is why I think that this ETF market is going to be the one that drives the price of Bitcoin up. As institutional demand starts to waver on AI, this is where you could start to see it. And I think it's definitely worth having some of these ETF products out there that I think people can get involved in. So for me, this is going to be a really interesting reversal here on this stock market. And I think we will start to see these pile into ETFs. Now, we haven't really looked at specifically some of these key ones, but if you look at, say, something like XRP ETFs, they're actually significantly down. Institutional demand in some of these, no one cares about. Remember, on all of these ETFs, they actually remove the native asset and hold it on their balance sheet. It's kind of different to what you see with normal stocks and S&P 500 ETFs. So this, again, is a good news story to a degree. Here is the big, stark problem, though, when it does come to ETFs, or it comes to the native asset, which is why, in my view, we are actually seeing a number of these ETFs sell off, is that you, irrespective of the ETF, remember, ETFs support less risk. They allow institutional investment to come into the market without having to hold the native asset. What have you got? Gold, brand new all-time high. If you're in a gold ETF, tick, you're loving life right now. If you're in silver, new all-time high, tick, brilliant. All right, cool. Well, if I'm a silver ETF or a metals or precious metals ETF, I'm loving life right now. Like, everything's going to the moon. S&P 500, I'm tracking the Mag 7. I hold an ETF for that. I'm near all-time high. The NASDAQ the same. The Dow Jones the same. Okay, so any traditional stock market, ETF, financial product, or whatever you want to call it, is performing very, very well, right? Here's the problem. Bitcoin, no. Bitcoin is down 28% from its peak and having the worst Q4 in the last 7 years. There's no negative news. There's no FUD. There's no scandal. There's one event that happened, which is October 10th, and we've never been the same since. The fact here is that right now, people, investors, do not care about Bitcoin. I hate to say it, and I don't want to be the one that's there. They don't care about it. Sentiment is as bad as it's ever been. It doesn't mean it's going to stay like that forever. And I think this is the important thing to reference right now. If you looked at growth in terms of any ETF product out there, and we can actually track some of these. So if we were to track, say, the two don't particularly correlate very well. So let's add in here, look. So let's see what we can get in terms of some of these ETFs, which I think will be interesting. So we do stocks ETFs. And yeah, so we can get any of these kind of out there, commodities, super token, whatever the heck that is. I have no idea what it is. Invest capped Swix FT. Look, I mean, there's like a ton of ETFs here. Look, let's take the Magnificent 7 ETF. We've been talking about it. Where is the Magnificent 7 ETF? Well, it is actually skyrocketing. We're on one of the weekly charts here because they're not very easy to kind of read, really. But you've got a massive spike uptrend here. 1256 rallying all the way to 1294. Actually, we're seeing a nice little move there on that ETF, which I think is interesting as well. Mag 7 ETF. So stock market ETFs performing pretty well. There's a lot out there as well. If you want to watch the Mag 7, you want to watch 21 shares. But, you know, I mean, you could probably even get let's see what the BlackRock ones are. BlackRock ETF. So let's see. You've got, all sorts of, these are all fund closed. BlackRock Capital Corp is down a little bit. I mean, that price of Bitcoin's pretty annoying there. I probably need to have a look and see what some of these are. But anyway, but you get my point here that there's actually quite a significant amount of demand going into some of these ETFs as opposed to going into the Bitcoin ETFs. No one really cares about Bitcoin. That's the fact. Institutional money is going to... I'm not even dignifying that with an answer because you clearly haven't... yeah, I mean, just go and look at my channel. I record and update an XRP video every single day. So yeah, I'm very bullish on XRP. That's a completely... not true answer. Don't do metals ETFs. You need physical right now. I mean, you could argue it. The copper trade's doing pretty well. So where does this all play out in with manipulated markets? You've got Wall Street trying to come in as well as banks getting involved. Gold ETFs absolutely skyrocketing. Everyone trying to jump in them. Bitcoin ETFs all coming down. How does this change? What do we need to see that comes in? Well, right now, nothing. We need advancement in global liquidity. We need the Fed to start printing money. And this will basically mean that people have more money at an institutional level. That means that at that point, they may well be coming back into the market, which is essentially going to push the price of BTC up and do what we talked about here. So remember, January of 2024, this was when we saw the ETF market really get involved. So from here, this is all essentially positive ETF inflows. Well, actually, it's probably more like that, isn't it? And then this whole bit at the bottom is actually where we're seeing negative outflows of ETFs and have done now for quite some time. The other thing to reference with ETFs, by the way, is that they can be bought in other companies. So for example, Fidelity could buy BlackRock's ETF and vice versa. Therefore, you almost have a little bit of infighting, particularly with those. We saw that with the amount of tax that people put on these ETFs. So right now, where do we sit and what does it play out as favorably or not? Well, I think ETFs were great. I still think they're great, and I still think they'll broaden the horizon of institutional adoption. My view, and has done now both on my Bitcoin update video and my XRP video that I did today, that we just need to get through this short-term pain. Go and check out the video I talked about when it talks about global liquidity and how that's going to change. The 4 reasons why that the Bitcoin bull market may be coming in 2026. These are 2 great videos. I am slightly biased because they're my videos, but at the same time, like I said, I definitely recommend watching them because they just break it down a little bit more in a different place. So go and watch this liquidity one, go and watch this XRP one, and definitely watch this, where is it? That's annoying. Where is the other one? Where's the other video? This one here, this crypto bull run 4 reasons why 2026 could be a big deal, right? So definitely go and watch them. How are the XRP ETFs performing? So great point, Tim, because that's why I want to come on now and talk a little bit about them. So Solana and XRP are bucking the trend. They're actually outperforming Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs by quite a significant margin. What's the margin? They are actually seeing inflows versus outflows. For example, look again on this XRP ETF. We're seeing again another day of buying, which again is great news. As opposed to Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs, we're actually seeing selling off. These are getting in. Why? Well, they simply have more utility. XRP ETFs obviously broaden market structure, and with things like Flare Network, you can actually generate yield for these. Same with Solana. Remember, Solana staking ETFs are pretty important as well. So let's face it, absolutely bullish. We don't need anyone to we don't need to force anyone to like or believe in XRP. Jacob, absolutely 100% right. OPF Norfolk, what's going on, buddy? What's going on, lad? Welcome to you. 10% of the world's population is involved with crypto, never been higher. That's true as well. So again, Solana and XRP ETFs, in my opinion, are going to be two of the driving forces behind this open market structure, market investment, because they offer something that Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs do, which is generate yield by having those ETFs. And I think once you get into that place, they should be good news. So what does it mean for Bitcoin and Ethereum? Well, you're going to see a pivot, I believe, on some of these ETFs. I think that's why Grayscale are trying to sell off. I think that's why BlackRock are positioning themselves for their staking Ethereum ETF. And I actually think you're going to get some stuff with Bitcoin as well, whether it's generating yield or not, but I do think they're coming. These will be the reason the markets flip and then start to push back to the upside based on the fact that actually these ETFs then will generate yield. They'll generate revenue back to the people that are holding them or back to the company that issue them. So at the minute, like I said, loads of people are freaking out about ETFs. Loads of people are like, oh my God, they're going to send the market to zero. Like they keep dumping them. Bitcoin, Ethereum, arguably, yes. XRP and Solana, the opposite is said. And the argument would be that you are seeing a rotation out of Bitcoin, a rotation out of Ethereum and going into XRP and Solana. The debate and how it's all going to play out is where do we get with some of these? How big are they going to get? How big are they going to be? And more importantly, how many are going to come online? Understand the market right now is pants. Look at this, 24-hour volume on XRP ETFs, 18 million. No one's doing anything. We almost just need to get to the end of the year and then start to look forward to the 2026 bull market cycle. So again, we'll have to kind of wait and see what happens with that. XRP just should know what they're holding. Don't force anyone to believe in XRP. That's true, Jacob. I mean, I don't force anyone to believe in it. Like I said, I put content out every single day to keep everyone informed as to what's going on. So yeah, that's kind of where we sit in ETFs. And in my opinion, people are getting positioned ready to buy more ETFs. And I also think we're going to see some more adoption of ETFs in the new year. And I am about to show you that in just a second. So let's just take a few questions and see where we are. By the way, if you haven't already, give us a quick thumbs up. Would appreciate it. 116 people in the stream right now. So shout out to everybody here. Likewise on TikTok, we are finally growing back up there as well. So shout out to everybody tuning in. I appreciate you guys. If you've got any thoughts, opinions, questions, views, or concerns, let me know. I will definitely try and answer them the best I can. Richard, what's going on? Says happy holidays, everybody. Yeah, don't forget, I'm live streaming tomorrow, which I think will be the last stream. Yeah, it will. I mean, I might. I think I'll get told off if I try and stream Christmas Eve, but we will see. But yeah, I'll be live tomorrow. That might be the last live stream until maybe the 27th. But I might try and do something tomorrow night. We'll have to wait and see. Quiet as a holiday week. It really is. Rob, what's going on, bro? Welcome in. So yeah. So the reality then is, how do we know that people are positioning themselves to get into the markets? Well, a lot of it has to do with the banking sector, which we talked about. Obviously, we talked about the SLR, the statutory liquidity ratio, the other day, where basically banks need to carry less liquid assets to support their crypto assets, which I think is kind of interesting. But what else is happening? Well, you've got big movers from people like Trump Media. Now, loads of people have tried to discredit this, but essentially Trump Media, or a wallet associated with Trump Media, bought around $40 million worth of Bitcoin today. This is on top of, by the way, American Digital buying the other day. So anything tied to the Trump administration right now is buying Bitcoin. All right? That's kind of interesting. Now, again, I'm not here to spread rumors or anything else, but I do think it's interesting that you've got those particular companies that are now getting way deeper into the crypto market and certainly buying way more than we've seen over the course of the last 12 months. Do you agree with Raoul Powell's assessment of where we are in the market business cycle-wise? I mean, a little bit. Obviously, the business cycle definitely aligns to manufacturing, which we're not seeing that come. So, you could say, well, 2026 is going to be big for manufacturing. The argument is that it isn't at the minute. So what's going to change in historically a pretty challenging few months? Now, if you have been watching any of the Raoul Powell stuff, he kind of says if January and February aren't really positive for the crypto market, his thesis is wrong. I probably still come from the world, which I talked about the other day, which is it's a liquidity-driven market as opposed to a manufacturing debasement-driven market. And I think that's where he gets to. So I want to see like a ton of liquidity coming into the market. Again, go watch the video I dropped today, which talks where that liquidity is going to come from. And some of it's already starting to flow into the market. But Yeah, he's very much aligned to the dead 4-year cycle, the new 5-year cycle, business cycle driven by the ISM, which I think this got some good arguments. I just feel like it's way more liquidity driven, sentiment driven, and this manipulation, which I'm just going to call it that because that's exactly what it is, needs to stop as well. Crackerjack says Elon plus XAI plus US Defense Department. Bullish. BNB Pepe is common driven coin that brings internet favor. Cool. All right, we'll take a look at that. Remind me, we'll take a look at it at the end of the show if you want and see what's going on. These data centers are a big factor in the direction of the tech that runs the... Yeah, exactly. That's why there's so much money going to them. That's why the whole Oracle Blue Owl thing's a little bit awkward, because they just basically just said, we aren't funding that. Like, you must be absolutely out of your mind. News just announced on that. Oh, really? AI Elon Musk. News. Where have you seen it? Is it on X? I'll take a look at that in a minute. So we know that there's money going into, say, like Trump Media, which I think is kind of interesting. And then also you're seeing it flow into other particular assets as well. And actually we're seeing a number of different big factors starting to get into the markets. Institutional flows turning negative on these ETFs. We sort of touched on this right at the very start, but Wall Street is getting close to crypto. What does it mean? Well, look at this. Short term, the market increasingly trades crypto like macro-sensitive risk assets, reacting to rates, liquidity expectations, and regulations, just like tech stocks. Some of the biggest ETFs out there right now are the tech stocks narratives. So again, what you're getting here is you're getting a way more correlated view. We looked at the S&P 500 at the start to where we is. When equities and risk assets stabilize, BTC often catches a bid. So again, this kind of volatility we've seen over the course of the last, like 6 weeks, if that comes to an end and actually we start to see it chill out a little bit, then yeah. And how do you chill out? You get ETFs that just hold their own and don't start dumping 2,000 Bitcoin in the market, because that is what spooks everybody. Tap, share, repost. It helps 2-bit stream. Casey, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. The other thing to think about here, by the way, and they're not necessarily specific to ETFs, but I do think it links. You've got loads of revised potential BTC outcomes. Now, you could say, well, it's all nonsense until it's proven, but you've got to understand some of these have got big hedge funds. They know what they're doing. They've got people that are looking at this market. Citibank, we know, has been a big advocate for BTC adoption, revising their 2026 bull case, or base case, sorry, to 143. That's pretty interesting. Standard Charter says 150. You've got another one as well, Galaxy Research, which I think is Mike Novogratz predicting 250K by the end of 2027. So how do we get to that point when you've got institutional adoption coming into the markets? Well, you have to certainly get more purchasing power. And I think that's where potentially 2026 ends up. Remember, we've seen some of the biggest inflows, and you can correlate the two things. If you come to iShares Bitcoin Trust, for example, and you look at where we've seen significant inflows in the market, well, they correlate relatively easily to the price of BTC. For example, if you look at, say, the 2nd, 3rd, 4th of October, so look at early October in terms of price action, what does that look like? Well, you can see here, look, if we go all the way back, October was historically, right at the very start, we were absolutely pumping to the moon and then hit that kind of all-time high that we get. So the two things are correlated. It doesn't matter where you look. Doesn't matter what numbers you look at. You can say, right, okay, 15th of July, then 2-bit, BTC was going absolutely crazy. And I go, yeah, look at it. It was pumping to oblivion. Look at this. 15th of July is the top. So how can we link all this back to the crypto market? And if you are looking to trade markets and get involved in the market, well, how can ETFs be a narrative that we can watch to be part of the broader understanding of this market? Remember, I view that we need to just put a lot of stuff together to come to a reasonably responsible answer, as opposed to just going, price goes up, I'm going to buy, price goes down, I'm going to sell. You could argue that as macro sentiment increases, ETF buying comes in on the top of it, pushing us higher. What we need to see, therefore, is when we start to look at ETF inflows, this needs to be a good news story. For example, IBIT right now are pretty much doing nothing other than dumping their ETFs. So you'd argue that we're probably either in a consolidation phase, or like we're seeing with BTC today, which is where we see price significantly pushed down over a short period of time, which is probably aligned to some macro selling off. No news has dumped the market, no interest rate decisions, nothing that really tells us this should happen. What has happened is BlackRock dumped 2,000 BTC. All right, pretty interesting if you ask me. So when we think about all of that and how that all plays through, what else have you got coming on? Well, look, lowering crypto investment risk, the market is starting to diversify its digital asset bets. People are even moving out of these. The introduction of many ETFs covering lending crypto like Bitcoin and Ether, as well as emerging digital currencies linked platforms such as Solana, offer new ways to diversify exposure and manage risk. This was a great article, by the way, produced by CNBC. Stanton, what's going on, bro? Welcome in. Classic portfolio concepts such as index-based investing, dollar cost averaging, and portfolio rebalancing should all apply to crypto, but are often neglected by investors. And I think right now, this is probably a narrative that we are seeing. Volatility is the name of the game. In fact, crypto is the volatile asset class, and in some sense, there is no avoiding that volatility. That's right. It's like the most volatile asset that's out there. And so with mass adoption coming in for these ETFs, people wanting to buy, you're going to see way more demand. And don't forget, in terms of actual funds, man, BlackRock made an absolute fortune on their IBIT Bitcoin ETF. So expect the same to be done. You've got companies that can make huge amounts of money by taxing people that are buying ETFs. And don't forget, it's based on volume and value as opposed to transactions. Then, you know, ETFs are, in my opinion, going to be a good news story. And I think there'll be a big story in 2026. As global liquidity starts to come in, the Fed starts to print, the balance sheet starts to disappear, and more importantly, they're buying back treasuries like a crazy people, then you are definitely, in my view, going to see more adoption. And remember, price goes up. Generally, people FOMO into these assets because they're like, oh my gosh, we're on the move. So if you were to say, well, 2026, we believe could be a big bull market, the early part of 2026 aligns to historically positive momentum. And we looked at that the other night, by the way. Then you could say, well, ETF might just be the extra little bit of fuel on the fire. They may be the nitrous for the race. And if they are, well, expect 2026 to be crazy along with all the other stuff that's going on. While at the same time, by the way, don't forget, we absolutely could see a significant challenge within the market and see us dumping way back down. So I know that's a bit of a he says, she says, up, down, move it all around. But, you know, when you look at the data, for example, January historically is a good month for us. February, good month for us. This may then support us in a broader market move to the upside. So give me your thoughts on ETFs. I'm curious what you guys think. Are you pro ETFs or are you not? Let's get a poll out there. Do you think ETFs are good for crypto? Question mark. Okay, you can answer that and see what you think. Good. All right. So that kind of talks a little bit through ETFs. We'll take a look at some of the macro news in just a second. Let me just close some of these windows down so that we're not in a world of having loads of stuff open. And yeah, we're going to get into just a little bit more news. But let me know your thoughts, by the way. Also, in slightly different news, I got interviewed today, which was pretty exciting, for I don't really know. I don't know if it's like a podcast or a show or something that's going to go out in January. So yeah, I was interviewed by a company today about that's essentially going to go out to new content creators, new crypto content creators. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. It was like a 35-minute interview that I had to do. So pretty excited for that in the new year. So I will share that when that all comes out. But yeah, that was pretty exciting. Only the second time I've ever really been interviewed, which is always a bit weird talking about myself. But yeah, pretty exciting, if you ask me. Pretty exciting. Okay, right. So what else do we need to talk about? What's going on TikTok? 40 people on there. We got like 100 people on YouTube as well. So shout out to everybody tuning in. I know it's a pretty quiet day. Do me a quick favor if you haven't already. Just do leave a like. It is appreciative. Like I said, it does help out the channel. So if you fancy doing that, I would very much welcome it. And yeah, we can get into any of your questions. We'll take a look at some DeFi. So BTC is rallying back here on the 30-minute, which is kind of interesting. So yeah. Interesting, right. Craig says, see, who else would have explained all this extra craft about what ETFs do, how they work, and what they're good for? I can't believe your channel hasn't got a lot more followers. Thanks, Craig, man. I appreciate that. My view is, we just keep grinding, we keep working hard, and I am sure, fingers crossed, at some point, the channel hopefully will blow up. By the way, the channel's okay, but yeah. Finally, we found out Trump is speaking live again now. He's going to mention crypto tonight. Oh, really? Is he actually? Let's take a look then. Is Trump really speaking tonight? Let's go to the White House. Let's go to the White House. See. Get more bullish than Tim Shea. Probably a good idea. Get more bullish than Tim Shea. Tim Shea. Yeah, I need to do that, Tim. I was actually, I think I can actually do that. I've got, I was working something out, so I think we can probably do something with the Elipal stuff. But yeah, for sure, I think that's going to be a good idea. Definitely. Maybe we do like a bit of a Christmas special. At least just for trading in the short term leading to Christmas. What's that for? I'm bullish on this move, like I said before, I think. I mean, there's definitely an argument to say that the momentum is a little bit within the market right now. I don't think it's like super, super crazy, but... oh, what is that, man? I just got santed by Vern. Crypto is over. We are in a bear market now. Maybe. Well, we'll do the talk. That's probably the topic for tomorrow night, by the way. I do want to talk about that. Because I think it's going to be important, which we'll talk about the bear market and how bad it could be, and even if it is a bear market. So if you're interested in that, definitely tune in tomorrow night because, yeah, it's some pretty exciting stuff we'll talk about, which, you know, I guess either way, it's not the worst. It's not the worst. Is Trump actually speaking right now, yeah? Alex, Pentagon partners with Elon Musk's AI to expand artificial intelligence. Oh my gosh, that's pretty bullish. That's what you were saying, Crackerjack. Trump is getting a nice oil tanker collection. Yeah, I saw that. Let's have a look. White House. What time is he speaking? But yeah, thanks for the repost. I appreciate it. Share it out, everybody. Let's let the world know. Fairground's in the building. What's going on, Fairground? No, he isn't. What's everyone talking about then? 11 minutes ago, America First, Merry Christmas, Holiday Travelers, okay, White House, I mean, Triple H and Bryson DeChambeau were at the White House today. That's pretty hilarious. Yeah, I don't see it. Is he actually speaking? Let's have a look. Who else do we need to see? Caroline Levitt. Is that what she's called? Yeah, there she is. There she is. DOJ sues DC over restrictive, whatever it is. Oh, is it about the whole Venezuela thing? Vern, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Bullish on Monsieur Vern. So I can't see anything that says that they are. Trump approval, really great news for veterans. Yeah, I don't see it, but anyway. Feel we're dodging an orange. Well, maybe. Gotta love Caroline, not Caroline. Probably about... Oh, is he speaking later on? Right, okay. Okay. Phoenix says, crypto has no real use case or value. It's simply a scam of musical chairs. Okay. Okay. I mean, the only difference I would say to that is what creates value? What creates value? You could argue and say, well, 2-bit. The stock market creates value, but it only creates value based on the assumption that a company's worth a certain amount of money, doesn't it? That's the reality of it. So I think everything in the world, unless you go back to, you know, you offer a goods and services market and that's it, and we grow your own food and you trade your food for some, you know, everything's in a world where, you know, it is what it is. I think if I was to give the most basic of base cases to why I think crypto is a good asset and why I think it's different to what a lot of people believe is, if you want to transfer a lot of money around the world and you want to do it instantaneously, you can't do that with fiat. Can't do it. I mean, maybe you could do it with PayPal, for example, but I think that's where crypto can kind of be a bit of a winner. So good, right? There is a little fair, and I'm long on Brett and the meme coin, but move like the rest of the market. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, the market is bouncing back, which again is super interesting about this. And you know, if you are in a world where you believe there is elements of manipulation in this market, I sort of don't know what to tell you really, but you know, that is absolute just leverage washout and then building back up again. The 10 a.m. dump, which I think is interesting. Instant payments can be facilitated by companies that are more reputable than scam crypto. Okay, well, look, then this channel probably isn't for you, bro, if I'm honest. But everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I absolutely welcome everyone's opinion as well. So, you know, if that's your view, then that's fine, isn't it? Most recent rally in crypto will fail like all the others. Cool. Cool. If in doubt, zoom out and see what's going on. That'd be my opinion. So the recent rally will fail like all the others. I wonder how that... Let me just check. Hold on a minute. Yep. It's up 14 billion% since launch. 2011, up 270,000% since 2011. The 1st of December, up 12,000%. Okay. Okay. The way I trade is with the total market cap chart. That's all. Fair play. Fair play. Pretty bullish on that. Like I said, OP Norfolk, welcome. Welcome in. Are you in the Discord, by the way? If you're in the Discord, you now get instant access to our VIP section. Is it called the VIP section? Are you in the Discord? If you're not, link is in the description. Head on over there. It's totally free to join. If you become a channel member, then you get access to our trade setups, our VC opportunities, our guides on trading, as well as our bot that's in there as well, which you can use to do TA on coins if you're feeling a bit lazy and everything else. So, yeah. Let's get it. Yeah, let's get it. But yeah, if you are in the Discord, let me know what your username is, and I will. I'll get you added to that particular group. So yeah, pretty exciting. Pretty exciting. Like I said, we're in there. There's quite a few cool people in there as well. That's what I would say. But thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Really appreciate it. It's definitely a good thing. Definitely a good thing. Right. But yeah, I don't know if you're in there now. I'm just having a quick look to see if you are in there, but I can't see you. Let me know if you're in there anyway, and I'll have a look. I'll have a look. Okay. Logitech, what's going on, bro? Yeah, I'm good, man. Thank you. Really, really good. Right. So we've done that. We've done that. What else have we got going on? I wanted to just cover a couple of other little bits. Man, this hour is. Where is this live stream nearly gone, bros? I mean, we're not in a rush to get off, by the way, which is kind of nice. The White House apparently now has formed a new crypto team to drive regulation. So Michael Selig has been appointed the chairman of the Futures Trading Commission, and the Clarity Act is now seeking crypto regulation but faces legislative delays. I think it's going to come early 2026, my opinion. I think we get the Clarity Act aligned to probably some more macro good news for the crypto market, which should then maybe start the year off pretty well. And I think that the two probably go hand in hand. The dream team for crypto regulation, which is obviously Michael Selig, Paul Atkins, all very much aligned to the broader push of innovation. Remember, Trump has to win the midterms. He is going to need to pump the markets. In my opinion, I've lost my other slipper. It's here. In my opinion, he is absolutely going to need to drive this market high. He's going to need to drive costs down. He's going to need to drive markets up as well. So yeah, OPF, is that you that's just joined the Discord, by the way? That person that's just joined, is that you? Obviously, I'm conscious some people might not want their usernames given out, so I'm not gonna do it. But I don't know if that's you that's just joined, by the way. Maybe it is, maybe not. Let me know. Patrick, thanks for the follow, man. I appreciate it. Wisdom Tree XRP ETF should be live soon, surely. Yeah, well, you'd hope so. As well as you want to see a Fidelity. Yes, mate. All right, cool. Got you. Got you. Let me verify you in here, and there you are. You are now that, and you need. So your name now goes green. You now become green, bro. It's exciting, isn't it? So there you go. So now what you'll see in the Discord is you'll see the bit that says VIP members, which has got a lot of stuff in there as well. So you can get involved. I tried trading and it's fun, but it's so difficult for me. It's about accumulating for the long term. Yeah, I mean. Yeah, it's just risk, isn't it? What are you prepared to do in terms of risk? And is it if you're prepared to be higher risk, then fine. If you're prepared to be low risk, then be fine as well. Like, it is important to just be mindful of that. So just yeeted a 2-bit out of the thing. Craig, why are you not moderating the Discord, bro? Come on, bro. I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding, man. We need to verify some of these people. There's lots of people sat in the Discord. How about BTC worth 0.00000040? What about it? Oh, BTTC. What do I think about it? I feel like I'm having a moment that I don't know what it is. Hold on a minute. Sonny Rajpa, what's going on? Ricky Ricardo says an XRP with trust. Gianluca, what's going on, bro? Man, it's a while since I've seen you. Hope you're doing well, by the way, buddy. Hope everything is fine and dandy. TRWA, I don't even know what that is as well. TRWA. What is TRWA? TRWA. Thorware. I mean, it's doing pretty well at the minute. Was it up 0.5%? 750,000 volume. Is it that? TRWA? Tharwa? Is that what it is? THARWA? That Tharwa, yeah? If it's what I think it is, it's awful and I wouldn't touch it. Have you seen the chart? Am I looking at something wrong here? I feel like I may be looking at something wrong, but that chart is awful and I absolutely would not touch that at all. At all, actually. So, just my opinion. This week we at least got a green week. Well, I mean, not yet. We are actually in the red for the week. BitTorrent. Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I hope so. But, I mean, what have we historically done previous years? Does anyone know off the top of their heads? Where was December 2024? So, we were, for this week in December 2024, we were red, followed by a green rally for the end of the year, which probably is, similar sort of story. In 2023, it was all green in 2023, wasn't it? It was like bullish, but we were red again. So, yeah, I mean, if we can do anything that isn't red, I guess we're probably going to be all right. Mike, what is the FTN is up? What's that, Mike? What is FTN? It's up 195% of the day. The chart. FTN? I don't know what that is. What is FTN? Phantom. Is it Phantom? Oh, no. Fast token. Oh, it's not according to my thing. I don't know what that is then. I don't know what that is, but yeah. But yeah, sorry, I'm just used to banning people. Yeah, it's fine. No, if anyone that comes in there in the Discord with a 2-bit name that's not me, then yeah, yeet them. 5 weeks sideways. Yeah, I mean, the market is super sideways. But remember, there's a lot of debate right now going on that because we didn't get this kind of big move, and if I told you the couple of videos that I've got coming out pretty soon, which is all about, how bad is the bear market going to go? So if we are in a bear market, what can we expect? Bearing in mind that, our all-time high previous, which was, back here, this kind of $70,000 range, then how big can a bear market actually be? So if you said, well, that was the previous high, $73,000 back in, well, actually, no, it'd be here, wouldn't it? So yeah, sorry, excuse me. What am I talking about? Man, you guys are, here we go. One, two, get your life together. So 69,359 was where we got to in terms of the previous all-time high. What does that look like for an increase? So we went up about 82%. So we had an 82% gain when we got this all-time high here. So the fact that we then maybe don't come down as far, then actually this could be pretty impressive. If you think about the previous downtrend from top to bottom, a 76% decline, and then obviously we had that move up as well. So you've got a 76% decline from the previous high, which is down here, and you got 350% move to the upside. So get ready. Let's do some really super basic like mathematics. So if we did, let's say 80, it's probably easier. Divided by 361 times by 100 gives us a 22% ratio, right? So then you say, well, let's take 22% potentially from our current price down to, down to potentially where we could get to. So current price is here. 22%. I wonder if this aligns to what's happening here. That's because I'm clicking on that line. So 22 takes us to $67,000. Okay, people, get ready for this, right? Are you ready for this? This might blow some people's minds. I don't know. So $67,000. If we Fibonacci this, right, where do we get to in terms of where we sit? Look what sits perfectly at the $67,000 line. Look at it. It's the 200-week moving average. What? So the point here is that we may not get as bad a bear market if this is a bear market. Maybe it's just a small retracement. Maybe it's just, put the breeze on. So the fact that we haven't potentially got this kind of big drawdown, and maybe we've got some more to come, and maybe this is just a time where we chill out and go down. Very rarely, though, have we come down off an all-time high, traded sideways for the length of time we have, and then decided to go down even further. We probably got a little bit here, look, from the bottom. So if you argue that the bottom came in here back in, no, it's only 2025. We don't want to see that. Back here off the move, then actually, when we hit the bottom, what did we get? Well, we got about 486 days. So about a year, which would put us at October 2026 is then the potential bottoming of this. But the point here would be if we don't end up being as bigger in the bear market, then, you know, we might not actually see as a bad a sell-off. So, yeah. Vince says, 2-bit want to talk about crypto influencers using AI. One just seemed too lazy to wash to do a vid by himself and use AI to generate himself a vid or quantum computing and quantum security. Say that again. Do we want to talk about crypto influencers using AI? One just seemed too lazy to wash to do a vid by himself and uses AI to generate himself a vid or quantum computing and crypto security. I don't know what you mean. I'm really confused. I don't think you're saying I do. I mean, I'm happy for you to watch me make my videos because they literally, like, at the minute, because I'm editing them myself, they take about 3 hours to make. 67. Yeah, I mean, we've sort of said anything between 65 and 70, I think, is probably there. AI will be the end of us. Use the holidays to be with your loved ones before the world ends. Well, let's hope the world doesn't end. Let's hope it doesn't end. I'm not down for that. I'm just looking at the 8-hour, 12-hour Tory line that broke potential retest now. Well, I mean, look, I still think the market has been pushed down deliberately. And I think whenever we oscillate between this range, I'm like, meh, whatever. Whatever. We'll see what happens. I think breakdowns below this. I mean, you could probably argue that this range that we put on here probably can come a little bit lower now, can't it? If you were to work for supply, support and resistance lines, you're probably there. Same with that, probably just ticks down just a tad. So I think whenever we consolidate within this range, it's like, meh, okay, fine. Fine. You know, that's kind of where we move and that's kind of where we sit. So what's my narrative today? We've been talking about ETFs and now we are discussing a little bit of the potential of where the bear market prices could be. But like I said, I've got some proper content coming out about it all. So look out for that. Right. He's saying he watched it. Right. Who's that? I don't even know who that is. It's wild though. I mean, I don't even know how you do it. AI, I'm still not very good with AI. I think it's pretty cooked in fairness, but that is my opinion. Okay, good. Right. Well, that is the markets. We've talked about price action. We talked about ETFs. Let's close the news out. Over to you guys. Any questions you guys might have, any thoughts and opinions that you guys might have, then let me know. I'm just going to leave the Discord because it keeps beeping. To know you, I'll just say, not to name them, use AI to generate videos. It's got me thinking now. Good. All right. Yeah, so Sailor allegedly was going to buy BTC today, but he hasn't, which I also think is pretty interesting. So he did tweet out yesterday that he was going to be buying some crypto, but yeah, turns out he hasn't, which I also think is kind of interesting as well. But yeah, I'm surprised that he hasn't. And the only reason I say that, is because it is unlike him to be in a world of buying and then buying and then not, well, tweeting about the fact that he's buying and then not actually buying. I thought that was pretty interesting. To do your research on your own time. Thanks, man. Yeah, this dog. I got you, bro. Yeah. I don't even know what that could be, in fairness, but hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. Right, let me close that out. Let's take a look. I mean, I kind of feel like the pre-markets are a little bit of a waste of time, if I'm dead honest, because the market's obviously closed reasonably soon. But yeah, pretty flat in fairness. When you look across the broader market, for example, the Dow looks like it's pretty flat. A lot of other ones just seem a little bit flat today. So yeah, the Dow marginally down, S&P marginally down. You've got a little bit on the NASDAQ futures going to open up a bit more positive. And then commodities are the one that's making it right now. Gold, silver, and oil. Interesting. Interesting. What's your opinion on XRP? How low can it go? Well, let's take a look at it. I mean, 189. I mean, it's kind of, look, it's at the bottom of my range, in fairness, that we've had here, which this line has held pretty well and bounced back. I mean, lower than this, you start talking 150 if it was to break down that far. But I think if we hold this line, then yeah, I think we might be all right. But 150 would be my target if it breaks from this line, personally. Now, it's not going to just insta-wick down there, but certainly think about, it certainly could go there. And there are bears, and there are... Anyway, I gotta go hit the like grid. Vincent, thanks, man. When XRP Moon, Logitech, hopefully soon. I really want to know who that is. Anyway, that's fine. We'll work it out. We'll work it out. But yeah, XRP, I think 150. If it loses this support line, how is it going to lose the support line? If we were to see some more push down in BTC price, which again could happen. I mean, targets for BTC could be bottom end of 80. We've sort of talked about it potentially being 65 to 70. I think 65 to 70 is an extreme case. You probably want to see some kind of, something that folds over, some really bad sentiment, maybe something out of the Trump administration that people don't like. I don't know. I mean, if we could hold the bottom end of, of 80, that'd be all right, I think. Nice. Good job, Craig. My luck is so good. Galactic, great news. Been stacking XEP, sorry, around this line. Oh, I think, have you just slipped on the E instead of the R? Yeah, you have. Yeah, you have. I mean, again, we talked about this yesterday, and it's interesting when you start to just hear certain people speak and certain people talk about and, kind of how things are going. Then the fact of the matter here is that, what we're told to do when the market is in extreme fear, when the markets are fearful, you should be greedy. And likewise, the complete opposite can be true as well, which is if the markets are euphoric, they're overhyped, then that's the time when you should be like, oh, it feels really unnatural to do this, but maybe I just should. Maybe I should be sensible here. Again, depending on all the assets you hold, like if you're in a world where, you're in top 10 coins, well, you're probably going to be all right longer term. If you're all in meme coins, then it's probably going to be pretty challenging. But yeah, so fear and greed index sitting at 29, which actually isn't the worst. It's still pretty much fear, but we're out of extreme fear. So yeah. 2 bits tomorrow looking good or not regarding the data? There's not a lot of data coming out. We got no data reports really today. Do we get PCE tomorrow? So we do get PCE tomorrow. The consensus isn't particularly wonderful, by the way. So the 2 things that we're going to look out for tomorrow, core PCE we need to see. So previous was 2.6. The consensus is 2.9 and the forecast is 2.8. So we're expecting a tick up in PCE tomorrow, okay? So let's see if we can get... let's see if we can just get a bit of a view as to why. I think that might be worthwhile, just taking a quick look. So... The question will be is whether anything happens at the Trump administration and how that kind of plays out. But yeah, so PCE is going to come in. We also get a little bit on manufacturing tomorrow, so we'll keep an eye on that. I don't think it's going to be the biggest thing in the world, to be honest. And then we get the ADP employment change weekly, so we'll see if that does anything. I don't think it'll change much, but it is probably worth noting that we may get something. So we will see, by the way. Don't forget, this PCE report is obviously the delayed PCE, similar to CPI, so this may be a skewed number. It may come in like pretty crazy because obviously we've got certain data that's not going to be in it. The early sentiment indicators, though, show that easing in inflation expectations, which will reinforce a dovish potential tilt with it. So moderate, steady inflation would be good. Core inflation not materially accelerating. Remember, PCE is going to be all about things like, the cost of manufacturing. That's what we want to be interested in, and actually how that then plays out in the broader market. So consumer inflation expectations trending lower. So I think if you think about it, I think PCE was kind of all right last time. So, maybe we get in. What's to be mindful of if PCE comes in hotter than expected, markets could quickly tighten. Pricing on rate cuts benefiting the US bonds, which again, maybe why we're seeing buying into the bonds. Maybe people are expecting, people are probably expecting a pretty rough PCE, which is why we're seeing probably a good day in the bond market, for example, in the treasury market. You're seeing everything from the 1 month, right up until a 30-year, all significantly up on the day. So, maybe they're pricing in a pretty challenging, maybe they're pricing a pretty challenging PCE. I mean, in fairness, it's going to be 0.3 expectation above what we believe. So, maybe we get that, maybe not. Obviously, we know that some Fed officials have warned against potential inflation. We talked about one of the Fed Reserve people yesterday who will get a vote in the new year saying that they don't believe we should be seeing any more easing of inflation and that actually they've probably gone far enough and that they need to sort of wait and see. So, Mike, can you verify Gramondi in the discard? It's OBF. I thought I had. Who have I given the ability to go into the Discord then? I thought I had. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Right, let me have a look. Right, Gramondi, yeah, is there. Done. Man, who have I given? Who do I need to take this off then? I need to take it off somebody. I've just given it to somebody else. Who did I just give it to? Oh, that person there. There we go. There we go. Good stuff. No dramas, mate. No dramas. We're all gravy. We're all gravy. Yeah, I need to kind of we need to square that up a little bit and get everything sorted. Okay, good. Right. Any questions, any thoughts, anything from you guys? Like I said, we're over the hour mark. I'm not in a rush to get off, by the way. We can chill out. Oh, yeah, look at that. President Trump makes an announcement with the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. Oh, he's actually live. I'm sure it's not anything super exciting, is it? Starting now. I don't know if you guys want to watch it, but I don't know if it's going to be a big thing or not. Let's stick it. What have I just done? What just happened there? How have I just done that? Anyone know how I've just done this and put 2 different channels here on YouTube? What? What is happening, bro? Did you bring up the total chart? No, but I can do. As in the total there, $2.96 trillion. Still, like we said yesterday, look at that. Holding on to this support. Really, really important. Still very much holding that upward trend line on the short-term support. So yeah, still kind of trading in there, which is interesting, isn't it? So, maybe, just maybe, at least with the 4-hour time frame. I think it's fine in the macro, by the way. I actually think it looks fine in the macro. Morphware XMV, okay. Is gold worth investing right now? It's just broken all-time high, so I don't believe so. Now, again, it may go up, but I would be conscious of it. New all-time highs generally aren't a great idea to then go and FOMO in on a big green candle. I'd wait. Things always generally have a pullback. So again, not financial advice. If you want to go and dump your money in it, then you crack on and do it. But I think generally speaking, it's probably worth just waiting and see what happens. Craig says you are obviously becoming more proficient as a YouTuber, even if you don't know how you do it. I mean, that's also true as well. Yeah, anytime, any doubts, crypto total BTC goes up. That's the right thing. Yeah, I agree. Apollo. I mean, I don't really have an opinion. Today, again, I said this earlier. Today's the second time only I've actually done an interview with somebody who was asking me about like what it was like to be a content creator, what it was like to be a YouTuber, like what do I look like for the future. Like I don't really get involved in the whole like he said, she said stuff. I just can't be bothered. I'll focus on me, this community, and what we're trying to build here on the channel. And whatever else's opinion is, then it's fine. The only thing I would say is if they've got like crazy statements, then sometimes it's probably worth understanding yourself. Lewis, I can't tell you what that. I can't tell you the answer to do that. My only thing would be, what did you buy it for? Where do you currently sit against that? And why? Because at the minute, there's no invalidation point. This market hasn't invalidated the potential rally, or at least the potential bounce, which is probably what we're looking for in the market. We might get a little bit of a rally back to 107 and push back down again. We've not had that bounce really in the market. Liquidity is coming in 2026. Think about it. The SLR, the statutory liquidity ratio, is in effect from the 1st of January. Banks will essentially have to carry less liquidity for risk on assets. Think about what that feels like. Think about how that could play out. And I think that is where I get into by saying, well, you know, that might actually be a pretty bullish setup if you ask me. So again, I'm conscious. We will see how that plays out, and you know, fingers crossed. Then it plays out favorably. We just need to kind of wait and see. But I think you've got to make a decision that you think is right for you, and equally what that kind of looks like going forward. So yeah, just for what it's worth. That's my opinion, anyway. That's my opinion. So I'm home for now reversal, but yeah, I do think we get like yeah, I do think that we get a move to the upside a little bit. I do think that. And I do think that we probably get a little bit more of a relief rally versus anything else. So, yeah, I think worthwhile keeping close to, in my opinion. Definitely worthwhile keeping close to. Okay, good. Good, right. Where do we sit right now on BTC? 88,151. So we're probably going to close out today red, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. We actually did have a nice little rally to the upside, but it probably feels now that we will close the day out red. And yeah, I mean, that's life, isn't it? It's just life. But Lewis, no dramas, mate. No dramas. Remember, we're here every day, except the next 4 days. I'm kidding. I'm here tomorrow. Christmas stream tomorrow night. Yeah, because I've got to drive to, I'm driving down south on the Wednesday. So, yeah. Man, I'm watching this Trump thing, but nothing's really coming on. Is anyone really talking about what it is? It started 20 minutes ago. Gosh, nothing's come out of it yet. Siobhan, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. But yeah, by the way, Lewis, definitely get involved in the, Discord, by the way. Discord is totally free. Great community. You know, if you want to just join somewhere that's super chill, then yeah, absolutely get involved in it. And yeah, we appreciate anybody who joins in. And yeah, if you want to get a little bit more access to like our alpha group, then, you know, grab a channel membership and away you go. That's kind of where I get. So we appreciate you guys. I'm going swimming in the North Sea on Christmas Day. You're absolutely out of your head. You're absolutely just not okay, mate, if you do that. Okay, right. Trump is speaking. Should we just listen to this? We'll listen to this. Let's see what he has to say. And then if it's nonsense, we'll move on.
The new Golden Fleet, we're calling it the Golden Fleet, that we're building for the United States Navy. As you know, we're desperately in need of ships. Our ships some of them have gotten old and tired and obsolete, and we're going to go the exact opposite direction. We're delighted to be joined by Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, who's doing a fantastic job, and Secretary of the Navy, John Phelan. Marco Rubio is here, who gave a great few words toward the end of last week. He spoke for a couple of hours on what a good job we're doing, which is true. As Commander-in-Chief, it's my great honor to announce that I have approved a plan for the Navy to begin the construction of 2 brand new, very large, the largest we've ever built, battleships. You know, you used to build the Iowa, the Missouri.
No way he's going to call on the USS Trump. The Trump class. You are kidding me right now.
But they will have 100 times the, they'll be 100 times the force, the power. And there's never been anything like these ships. These have been under design consideration for a long time. And it started with me in my first term, because I said, why aren't we doing battleships like we used to? And these are the best in the world. They'll be the fastest, the biggest, and by far.
It's called the Trump class, look. The USS Defiant in the Trump class ships. No way, bro. Come on.
Wisconsin, Alabama, and others, but they were similar in size. Some a little bit bigger than the others, but if you take the biggest one, it's 100 times more powerful. They're longer by a little bit, but and they're bigger. They're bigger ships, but they hold much more. They use the word lethality. Battleships are the largest, sturdiest, and most heavily armed vessel built specifically for naval combat. While America has built many new warships over the years, they've tended to be smaller and much smaller, and not conducive to where we are and where we're going, and peace through strength. But including, we've been building aircraft carriers. We're going to be upping that also. We're going to be going to a superior aircraft. We have the Ford class. We're going to be upping that to a different class of aircraft carrier. And we haven't built a battleship since 1994.
I feel like he's way stalling. I want to hear him say the Trump class. I want to hear it. I want to hear it, bro. Like, come on. Come on. It's wild.
Will be actually the most ever built other than our submarines. We have submarines which will have, in many ways, even more lethality, and we have many of them under construction. Each one of these will be the largest battleship in the history of our country, the largest battleship in the history of the world ever built. And again, it's 100 times more powerful than the...
I mean, as much as I am keen to watch this, I feel like this is probably a bit of a waste of time. It's going to talk about ships. I'm not really bothered about ships. I mean, maybe I should be bothered about ships, but I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not bothered about ships. So it doesn't look like the markets are reacting too much, but he's talking about ships, so it probably shouldn't do anyway. Why does every Trump live stream feel like it? But yeah, I mean, it's out there, isn't it? It's out there. If you want to watch it, go and watch it. I don't think I'm in a world. Right, what did you guys say? Do you think ETFs are good for crypto? 81% of you said yes. Interesting. Interesting. The words Trump and class are like oil. Invest in steel. I like the fact you put an extra E on it. That's nice. Yeah, I mean, that's almost hilarious, but good on him. Good on him. Right, let's close that out. Pre-markets, we are done. Crypto fear and greed index, we don't need. Okay, BTC price sitting at 82,273. So not anything super crazy going on right now. But yeah, I mean, unless you guys have got anything that you want to ask, you want to question, maybe we could do a, maybe we should do a live video recording again. They're always fun when we do them. They're always fun. Tungsten, man, can you even buy tungsten? That's pretty wild. I need a new office, you know. I need a new streaming setup. ETFs will help, but institutions ruined it. I knew in 2017 institutions like BlackRock would hurt. Yeah, well, I mean, that's the problem, isn't it? Especially, it's not even like them coming into the market. It's a big problem. It's the fact that they've come in and bought so much of the supply in such a short space of time that they're almost, and that we haven't really had anything sort of on the back of it. So we have Yorkshire pudding. 100%. Who doesn't have Yorkshire puddings with a Christmas dinner? Like, are you like, what? Honestly, I've told you how to make them as well. Please tell me you do. Please tell me you do. I mean, not everyone does, you know. I mean, people say they shouldn't be on there, but I am literally from God's own county, so, you know, I'm going to be having Yorkshire puddings. The only problem is I'm down south, so I'll probably have to make them. Casey, come on, bro, you're missing out. I'll probably have to make them, which is easy, by the way. 70 grams of plain flour, 2 eggs, and 100 mils of milk, preferably full fat. Boom. Fat in the Yorkshire pudding pan, in the oven, super hot, out, mixture in, bosh, back in the oven. There you go. You can have some belting Yorkshire puddings. Make sure you whisk, the mixture as well. There you go. There you go. You see, this is just a channel that everything is part of. We not only talk about crypto, macroeconomics, and Yorkshire puddings. I mean, why would we not talk about all those things? So, but yeah, for this year, I don't have to do Christmas dinner. Normally I do Christmas dinner, but the Mrs. Dad will do it, which is pretty exciting. So, means I can spend some time with kids, which is exciting. I want to see them for 4 days. Exactly, Craig. Exactly. Does it feel like Christmas weird? But I'm not feeling it this year. Yeah, I mean, I get, because of where I work as a normal 9 to 5, it doesn't really feel like Christmas. And I don't listen to any Christmas songs. I don't put any Christmas songs on until I get out of work on Christmas Eve, get in the car, put my sat nav to drive down to where I need to go. That's Christmas. That's when Christmas starts for me. Like, you know, I was out of the house this morning at 6:30. I actually got back in tonight nearly 7 o'clock. Like, tomorrow I'll be out the same. And then after that, I'm like, right, cool, it's Christmas. And then I sing the Noddy Holder song, and I'm just like, it's Christmas. We'll have a little bit more of a Christmassy stream tomorrow night, though. I think that's fine. We used to have the light. Do you remember I used to put the lights up here? We used to have lights on this. I'll do it tomorrow night. Have you heard about Samsung new EV batteries that are making using lots of silver in them? That's probably going to push the price way high. Yeah. Supply and demand. Supply and demand. Doesn't feel like Christmas. Thanksgiving was so late. Never had transition. Well, that's it. I mean, you guys have Thanksgiving and Christmas. I think it's just a bit greedy, but hey. Christmas is only about the kids. We haven't done Christmas in the last year. My kids can't wait. Honestly, I can't tell you their little faces when they thought they saw Santa on Sunday. They cannot wait. And in fairness, I can't. I was hoping, like I said, I was hoping my Alipal wallet was going to get it. I was going to give it to my sister for Christmas and be like, hey, Merry Christmas, it's an Alipal wallet. But it's not turned up yet, which is a bit disappointing. So, hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. Right, everybody. That probably does bring us to the end of the show. I don't think we've got a lot. We're just talking gibberish now. We're talking Yorkshire puddings and Christmas. So I'll be back tomorrow night. Don't forget, probably the last stream of the holiday season. So I'll be streaming tomorrow night. I won't be streaming, or at least I don't think I will. I mean, who wants to actually come on a live stream Christmas Eve with me? So I don't think I'll stream 24th. I definitely won't stream 25th because that's Christmas Day. And I probably won't stream 26th. I'll be back on Saturday. I might stream on the Saturday. Do people want to stream on Saturday? Maybe we do, maybe we don't. I always say this and then I end up like not streaming. So, but then I don't want to take 1, 2, 3. I don't want to take 4 days off. I don't want to take 4 days off streaming. Like what? What? Okay, yeah, but yeah, we'll be live tomorrow night. Christmas stream tomorrow night, everybody. So that'll be fun. And then yeah, we will certainly then head into the holidays and see what happens. So do make sure you turn up tomorrow night. It's going to be good fun. We'll definitely have a bit more of a chill stream. We'll see what the market does. I mean, Bitcoin feels like it's trying to rally back up. I'd like to see a close in the green. We need to be around 88.6. So we need a couple $100 to get back in the green. May happen. We'll see. The Asian markets may make a move for it. We got a couple of days, and then obviously we go into a few days of market closures. So historically, December the 25th has always been a reasonably pants day for the market. But as always, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Don't forget, check out the content. As always, 11 o'clock, 11:30, BTC macroeconomic update, followed by altcoin video in the afternoon. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you turn notification bell to all. That way you don't miss a beat. And also, don't forget, check out the links in the description. If you want to go and buy, trade, and do all the rest of it with crypto, we've got some great offers down there. Check it out. Link in the description. And also check out the free Discord link in my bio on here as well. So see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll catch you on the flip side. See you later.